We're doing a nice gentle Pilates class today. A lot of focusing on connecting to your breath. A lot of, well, we always listen to our bodies anyway when we do Pilates, because it's like, that's my broken record. Listen to your body, listen to your body. And bringing in some relaxation into, even though we're doing some work, we want to try and calm the nervous system down to keep us in a good place. While you're rolling out your foot, notice your balancing leg. Stay tall through the hips so you're not hanging out in the joint. And use the wall if you need to. If you're feeling that it's hard work today, because some days it just feels like hard work. And notice the rest of your posture. So if you're leaning forward, looking at your feet, can we stand upright, tall through the crown of the head? Thinking about, can we stand up through the heart? And can we do our movements, some of our movements leading from our heart, metaphorically as well as physiologically? So often we lead with our head, and our head's pulling forward all the time, and that causes pain and tension and stress in the neck. Knocks our posture offline. So when we draw the chin in, lift up through the chest without thrusting the ribs, and have that sense of leading from the heart, we stand taller, our body's in a better alignment. We fall less, hopefully, fingers crossed, that's the aim of the game. Keep ourselves upright. Whoop, balls down a runner. Once you have rolled out your feet, go to your hands and roll out your hands. Notice your shoulders as you're rolling your hands. So if they're up around your ears, can we drop them down? And rolling around. And passing the ball from one hand to the other. And then anchor the elbow, anchor the forearm, and circle in at the wrist. A few circles in each direction. And then to the other side, same thing. So just isolating into that wrist joint. A few circles each way. And then we can pop the ball down. And bring your feet in underneath your hips. Come into your alignment. Chin drawn in, tall through the crown of the head, chest open, shoulders down, ribs tucked in, pelvis in neutral, feet and knees about hip width apart. Notice how your ankles, knees, hips feel. If they're feeling tight today, you might need to turn the feet out a little bit more or adjust the positioning of your feet. Can we find the tripod points in the soles of our feet? Take the weight back into the heels, forward into the balls of the feet. Shifting the weight very gently forward and back. And then a little bit of left to right. Observing how much feedback you're getting from those tripod points today. As we know, difference in shoes, difference in how much we've been walking or not walking, etc., can change and influence how much feedback we get through our feet. Can we let the weight settle as evenly as possible from left to right, front to back? Lift the toes, spread the toes out, bring the toes down. Getting that big toe and little toes far away from each other as you can. And while you're doing that, notice if your hands are splaying. If they are, give them a wee shake off. Also observe, are you still able to hold yourself in that upright position as you're getting this spread through here, through the feet. Excuse me. Then can we lift all the toes up, and then can we tap the big toe down and up? This is a nice little exercise, strengthening the muscles in our feet, which then help the posture all the way up. Then hold all the toes up. Can we go pinky toe, next toe, next toe, next toe down, keep the big thumb toe up, and then can we tap that thumb toe up and down? And then can we release that off? Pedal the feet up and down a couple of times. Lift one heel, circle round. A couple of circles each way. onto the knuckles, a couple of circles each way. Other foot, lift, a couple of circles each way, onto the knuckles, a couple of circles each way. And then bring your feet back, do about hip width apart, finding those active arches, finding the length through the body. We're going to get into our lymphatic drainage flush, nearly forgot about that. If we cannot, do it every day. Let's get up to that left collarbone, so hand over the collarbone, moving the skin back and forwards, not pressing in really deeply, just the weight of your hand on the skin as it moves the tissue. About 5 to 10 times, depending on puffiness, tenderness, that you're then patting on to create that vibration. Doing the same thing over on the other side. So we move the tissue, then we vibrate the tissue. Then we come to the neck. So from the jaw, where the jaw meets the skull, back of the ears, down the sides of the neck, pulling the skin in a downwards motion towards those collarbones. Again, 5 to 10 times we stretch the skin. 5 to 10 times we tap to create the vibration. Then to the shoulder, so we've got bigger area here, head to the shoulder, crease at the front of the shoulder, into the armpit, and down into the side of the chest. So big area. Moving that tissue, and then tap it on. And then the other sides. And then from there through the abdomen, so coming down into the base of the pelvic bowl, and we're going to scoot up the way, and then gradually working your way up so that you're coming up into this upside down V. So starting at the bottom, like you're trying to get the end of the toothpaste out and up into that V. So go a bit deeper when we're at the abdomen, bring that up. Ooh. And then patting on there. And then into the groin, so hip bone to pubic bone in that crease, opening that up. And again, that's quite a deep one, so pressing in, pulling in an upwards direction. And then coming into the back of the knees. And then standing back up. Full body peripheral tapping, so helping stimulate the nervous system, blood flow and lymph flow. Start at a shoulder. Gentle slap. Working your way down the arm to the fingertips. Palm of the hand up the underside of the arm to the armpit, down to the hip. Other side. All the way down. All the way up. Down the side. To the hip, then to the front of the body. Checking in that you're not holding your breath while you do this. Down the front of the legs. All the way to the tips and toes. Up the inside of the foot, up the inside of the legs. Right up to the groin, down the outside of the legs. Up the back of the legs. Over your butt, into your back. And then anywhere you can reach in the back of the body. Fingertips to the base of the neck, lifting the chin so we can get in around the throat, under the chin. Oh, pardon me. Coming along the line of the teeth. Working your way up the face, maybe from the middle, working your way out. Maybe a good line to take. Always careful around the eyes. Working around the eye socket. Across the forehead. Up over the skull. Down the back of the neck. All the way back to the shoulders. Let the arms come down. Have a quick check in. How does your body feel after you've done all of that? Energetically, how do you feel? you feeling more uplifted? Are you feeling a bit flatter? Physically, how are you feeling? Did you notice any areas of your body that maybe felt tight or tender while you were doing that? Does your body feel easier standing in alignment? Observation rather than any kind of judgment or expectation, so that you can adjust today's class to suit you. Take your weight over into one foot, keeping hips level. Let's come to marching on the spots, and knee coming up roughly to hip height, foot places down, anchor through the tripod points, bring you up. On the other leg, bring it down, connect, anchor, tripod points, active arches, alternating from side to side. So there'll be a slight shift of the weight as you go from one leg to the other. Keep the hips, bones level, and try not to tilt over to the sides. Keep the shoulders stacked over the hips. If we have all of that, and we've got that active arch from the balancing leg, then all the muscles that need to work will be working. They'll be involved. The next time the knee comes up, let's take it out to the side. Don't pivot on the balancing leg. Bring it in and down. Up and out and in. And down. If you need the wall for a little bit of support, take it. Or if you want to keep your toe on the floor and step out that way, you have that option. Let's do that once more to each side. And then when you come in, give that a release and shake off. Let's come up into the shoulders and roll the shoulders up, back and down. And just notice how this feels. Where are we getting crunchy? Where are we meeting restrictions? Are the ribs moving around a lot here? And if they are, can we use the abdomen to draw them in to isolate and free up the shoulders? Let's take this into table waiter. So bringing the elbows into the waist, palms to the ceiling. If you want to add in some light weights here or a long resistance band, you're welcome to. Keep the ribs and the chin tucked in. Draw the shoulder blades towards each other as you rotate that upper arm out. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, bringing that back in. So opening out, shoulder blades coming in towards each other. Squeeze these muscles in between the shoulder blades and bringing that back in. If you find that your chin keeps pulling forward while you do this, maybe use the wall, stand with your back against the wall, use that contact point to give you the support as you open out and as you come back in. Go from here. That might restrict how much you can get open, but it'll make the muscles that are meant to be working work a bit harder. Let's do that one last time. And bring that down and give the shoulders another roll. Coming into the neck, so let's draw the chin in, get that length through the back of the neck. If you find that as you're pulling in, you're thrusting pelvis or ribs forward, again, use the wall as your support. And pull the chin in from there so that you're getting this extra length in the back of the neck. We're activating the muscles in the front of the neck. If you're really struggling with that, check where your tongue is sitting. Can you sit your tongue to the soft palate on the roof of the mouth? So that's the part of the roof of the mouth that domes up towards the back. So letting the tongue sit there activates the deeper muscles inside your neck. And then let that neck relax. When I say relax, don't let the chin droop forward, still stay tall through the neck. Maybe start to tilt over to the side, imagining somebody's picking you up by the ear, getting this length down the side of the neck, bringing it up and over very gently, going to the other side. Again, maybe picking up by the ear to get that length. Bringing it up, taking it over. Bringing it up, taking it over. And coming back into the centre, a couple of shoulder rolls again. And then letting the shoulders settle. Let's bring ourselves down to the floor. If you wish to use your loop resistance bands, your Pilates ball, bring them in. If your neck has any pain or it's really tight, make sure you have a pillow to rest your head on. Take the pressure off your neck. You can come down to the floor without using your hands. And please do that, but always safety first. Let's lie on our back. Knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Take a couple of moments to let your body arrange itself in this new position. Can the back of the neck be long with the skull angled so the chin's kind of pointing down the length of the body, it's not pointing up towards the ceiling. And the chest be open so the shoulder blades can drop back and down into the floor. And the ribs be tucked in. Doing either your ha breath or have a giggle, if you can think of anything that's funny. Then draw those ribs in. Check that the pelvis is in a neutral position, so hip bones, pubic bone are in line with each other. Lower back's in its natural curve. There should be no pain or discomfort in the lower back when your pelvis is in that angle. And if there is, then you might need to just slightly adjust the angle of your pelvis. The knees and the feet are about hip width apart. What's important here is we can find those tripod points on the soles of the feet. We can make that connection to the floor and get that sense of lifting through the arches. So let's start bringing our arms up so that the arms are over the chest. Shoulder blades are pressing into the floor. If your arms are feeling particularly heavy today, then you might just start with your arms down at the sides. And we're going to take opposite arm and leg and slide them out long, keeping the pelvis still, keeping the shoulder blade pressing into the floor, and then bring that back to the start position. Do the same thing on the other side. So as you're lengthening the leg out, either have your toe actively pointed or actively flexed. So it's basic exercise with real attention on, can you feel the muscles working as you do this? If you're lying there and you're flopping out long, you're getting some mobility into the joints, but we're not activating and stabilizing the joints. We want slow, controlled contact to the floor. Get those muscles activated, be really intentional with the movement. Let's do that one last time to each side. We come back into center. If you have a Pilates ball, we're going to invite you to bring it in, jam it into the back of your knee. If you don't have a Pilates ball or your leggings are too slidey, you could use your tennis ball in at the back of the knee. If you don't have either, then you're just bringing the knee into that tabletop position, pressing out through the sole of the foot, and imagine that there's something in at the back of the knee to lock it into position so that the heel doesn't drop down. Opposite hand is coming up, shoulder blade is pressing into the floor. The leg that's up, we're going to tap the heel down as that opposite arm goes overhead. We bring it back to centre. Then the knee's going to move out towards the side as we slightly bend the elbow, taking the arm down to the floor. Coming back up to centre. So again, thinking about connection. So the leg that's not moving, arch is strong and connected. Tripod points are anchored into the floor. Shoulder blades are pressed into the floor. Pelvis is staying in its neutral position. The ribs are staying in that ha position, so they're tucked in, the abdominal muscles are working. We tap out one long, we bring it back to the centre, we tap out one right. As we go wide, we don't let the opposite side of the hip lift, so if the opposite side of the hip is following, you go shorter with your movement. So one out long, and in, one out wide, and in one more round, long, and in, connect all the way, one out wide, and bring that down and releasing your leg. Any stretches, any movement here that your body needs, then we're going to go to the other side. Pop that ball into the back of the knee. Press out through the sole of the foot. Opposite arm comes up, shoulder blade anchors into the floor. So again, can be really intentional with that movement. Tap it down, on the long, go out wide. So the leg that was previously working is now anchored to the floor. Shoulder blades are pinned in, the ribs are tucked in, the pelvis is staying in its neutral position all the way through. And we're maybe doing one part of the breath as we go out, next part of the breath as we come in, next part of the breath as we go wide, next part of the breath as we go in. Just to keep us in a nice steady pace with the breath. And then one more full round. And when you've done that last one, let that rest down, give your body whatever movement feels good for it here. Bringing your feet back to the floor. We'll do some spine twists next. Options for your arms, either out wide, shoulder blades anchored into the floor, or arms back up over the chest. Options for the legs, you can have the legs squeezed together. We can have the ball either between the thighs or between the calves. As you've got the ball in place, just make sure that the legs stay parallel so that you're not dropping either the knees into each other or the heels into each other. We want to keep the legs really parallel, otherwise you are anchoring your legs together. On an exhale, we start to twist. As the knees go to the right, the left arm comes down to the floor if your arms are up. You can either pause at the end to inhale and then exhale back to the centre, or inhale back to the centre. If you did the pause, make sure that you pause at the centre for your inhale, so that as you're taking your rotation to the other side, you're doing that on an exhale. So just moving at your own pace here. If it feels like you need a bit of a stretch here, then maybe you stay for the extra breath. If it feels like you need some more weight through the waist, then maybe you bring your feet away from the floor. And it might be that you lift the heels and keep the toes down, or you bring the feet up. Toes can be anywhere from touching to the floor to pointing to the ceiling. Just make sure that you have control through the movement from start to finish, and you keep anchoring those shoulders down. Check what's happening at the head. If your chin has started to push up towards the ceiling, can we drop it back down? Keep the length in the back of the neck. Try and use the tummy muscles to help control this movement. So really drawing them in as you go from one side to the other. So controlled at a pace that feels right for you. We'll do this 2 more times to each side. Checking your breath, checking your alignment, checking your connection. So your last one to each side, and if you've already finished, take your body into whatever rest position that it needs. If you're not quite finished yet, don't rush it. When you are finished, then take your body into a release, stretch things out, move things around in any way that feels nice. We're going to come into side lying. And when we come into side lying, we're going to have our top leg lengthened out. Before we get there, make sure you've got enough space. And go myself round. We want to have the hip, the shoulder, the ear in line with each other. Heads either rested on your arm or on some rolled up pillows, or whatever you need to give your head some support so that your neck's not strained. Check where the position of your head is. So we don't want the head to droop forward, just the same as when we're in standing position or lying on our back. We want the chin drawn in so that we've got this length down the spine. We're thinking about the ribs. So initially, let the ribs relax into the floor and then draw the tummy muscles in, or do your huff or giggle so that you feel that lift happening, and then we're engaging the tummy muscles to hold it in place. Your bottom leg is as bent as it needs to be so that your hip feels comfortable underneath. Top leg lengthened out at hip height, pressing through the sole of the foot in that standing position. And then we're going to slowly keep the leg straight, start to move the leg forward, and then start to push the leg back. Now, as we're pushing the leg back, check that you don't thrust the ribs and hips forward, so keep the spine in line, keep the tummy muscles engaged, squeeze into the butt cheeks. Moving that leg forward, keeping it straight, pressing out through the sole of the foot, moving it back. Moving it forward. So check what you're doing with your breath here. Most importantly, you're not holding your breath. Check what's going on at the ribs and the abdomen. Have you started to let them relax? Maybe you're focused on the leg, and if you have, can we draw them back in? Make that connection. Now, the next time you're coming forward, I want you to bend the knee and move the knee forward into that tabletop position. And then extend through the leg. And as you're going behind, you're going to bend the knee to bring the heel towards your backside. Extend the leg, go out long, bring it up, bend the knee in towards the chest, straighten it out, go round, behind, bring the heel in towards your backside. So again, check what's going on at the pelvis, at the ribs. No thrusting forward, extend the leg out, slow and controlled, we're bringing it up, we're pressing it out, we're going out behind, curling it in. One more time, let's extend out, bring it forwards, check the rest of the posture, bring the knee up and in, pressing it out, curling it behind, heel towards your backside, and then let the leg rest, let the ribs rest. Move your body into any position that feels nice here to give yourself a bit of a stretch off. And then when you're ready to, we're going to roll ourselves over to the other side. So take your time as you come over to get yourself into your alignment. So think ear, shoulder, hip, all in line. Bottom knee bent as much as it needs to be comfortable. Top leg extending out, thinking about tummy muscles drawn in. Hips stacked. And then when you're ready, moving that leg forward and then moving the leg back. Just the same as on the other side, we look for any movement elsewhere in the body. We check that we're not relaxing the ribs, we're not thrusting the chin out, we're not holding our breath. Excuse me. And then the next time we're coming forward, we're bending that knee, bringing it up, pressing out through the sole of the foot, taking it behind, curling the heel in towards the backside, extending it out, bringing it forward, bringing it up, taking it out and out behind. Forward, bend the knee, bringing it up, press it out, take it back, curl it up. One more round. Bringing the knee up, Bracing it out, taking it behind, feel into the backside, let the body rest into any stretch that feels right here. And then when you're ready to, let's bring ourselves over onto our front. We're going to do some square positions. So if lying on your stomach doesn't feel good for any reason at all, we're going to go into square position where we're lifting the arm away, turning from side to side. If you prefer to do this standing at the wall, then you just stand close enough to the wall that you can get your forearms on, elbows roughly at shoulder height. And you're going to move the arm away, bring it in, turn, move the arm away, bring it in. If you're doing this on the floor, it changes how we're working with gravity. So sometimes this can feel much more challenging. Depending on what's going on in your body today, you might take the option to work at the wall. For some people, that changing gravity just helps work the muscles better. So listen to your body, do what feels right for you today. Whether you are standing at the wall or lying on the floor, we're thinking about those ribs being tucked in. So do your ha or have a giggle. We want the pelvis to be in neutral and we want our legs to be active. So if you're lying on the floor, toes pointed away, pressing tops of the feet down into the floor to help get that lower body activation. If you're standing at the wall, you're thinking about those active arches to get that lift through the tripod points. So thinking about where your connection points are, can you get that activation? If you're lying on the floor, we're thinking about drawing the belly button away from the floor to get that narrowing through the waist. One part of the breath as you're lifting the arm up. Next part of the breath as you're lowering it back down, turning your head to the other side. Lifting up. Bringing it down. So notice what's happening at the back of the body. The shoulders are down away from the ears. The shoulder blade is sliding in towards the spine. Similar to when we're doing that table waiter that we did standing up at the start, we're thinking about that movement that's happening around the shoulder blades. And keeping the back of the neck nice and long. If you're lying on the floor and your arms feel heavy, you can move your hands closer in to your head. If they're feeling very light, you could move your arms further away, adding a little bit more resistance in. Check what's going on with the rest of the body. Have you started to let that relax because you're focusing on this top part? And if you have, can we re-engage? So let's do that one more time to each side. And then once you've done that last one, let the body relax, rock the hips from side to side, let the belly relax. Give your body whatever movement feels nice for it here. And then we're going to go back down to the lower half of the body, doing Superman legs. So let us have your head rested, whatever's comfortable, making sure that the shoulders are down away from the ears, shoulder blades are dropped back towards each other. So you might have your forehead resting on the back of your hands. You might make fists, let the forehead rest there. You might have your arms out to the sides, where you're working the muscles of the neck by having the head floating. If you're standing, you're just standing up position where you can rest your arms on the floor, no, on the wall. If you're standing, you'll be Arms will be on the wall. So again, think about ribs being tucked in, back stay engaged, pelvis in its neutral position. If you're lying on the floor, toes actively pointed away. If you're standing, strong through the arches. And then we're going to lengthen the leg, and then if you're on the floor, lifting the leg away from the floor. If you're standing at the wall, you're pushing the heel back without pushing your hips in towards the wall, so staying tall and strong there. So we're working into our backside muscles. So alternating from side to side. Checking that the shoulders don't start to keep up round the ears, so keep the shoulders down and long. One part of the breath as we lift the leg, next part of the breath as we lower it back down. If you're on the floor, the leg that's not lifting anchors into the floor to give you that stability. Make sure we're not collapsing into the lower back. Lower tummy muscles are drawn in, supporting that lower back. Now the next time we lengthen the leg out, we're then going to see if we can move it a couple of inches out to the side. Bring it in, bring it down. So we lift it, we go wide, bring it in, we bring it down. So slow and controlled. And let's do that one last time to each side. And when you've done that last one, let the body rest. Have a wee rock from side to side. If you're lying on the floor and you want to do child's pose stretch, make sure that as you're lifting up, forearms are underneath you. We'll lift, we engage the belly as we lift the lower back and the hips away from the floor so that we don't collapse into the lower back. Almost like you're lifting into a wee mini plank as you go back. If you're standing at the wall, maybe place your hands on, stretch out. And then let's bring ourselves into a seated position so that we can do some VW. You can sit in a chair, you can be sitting on the floor, you can sit in cross-legged, you can be on your knees, you can be up on your knees, or you can come up to standing. If you feel like you want the support and guidance for alignment from the wall, then put your back against the wall. Arms start in cactus position, ribs are tucked in, chin is drawn in. On the exhale, extend the arms out into your V. Inhale at the top. As you're exhaling, pull the elbows down into your waist. Imagine that you're trying to burst a balloon under your armpits. That's going to help fire up these muscles in under the armpits and around the ribs. Inhale at the bottom. Exhale, activate as we press up and out. So if you're in this kneeling position, tummy muscles, backside muscles are going to be working quite hard here to help keep the ribs in place, to help support your posture. If you're down here, the abdominal muscles will be working to help hold your ribs in place. You're getting more support from this seated position. Observing your breath, thinking about that muscle connection from start to finish. Notice how your shoulders feel as you're doing this and what angle you want to come into your view. If your shoulders are really tight, you might be out wider. If your shoulders are not quite so tight, you might be up a little bit higher, but avoid the shoulders kissing up into the ears. We want to keep that length in the neck, that space, squeezing down. Also notice if your hands start to drop forward, can we keep that rotated back? That's what's going to help work these muscles around the shoulder blade. So if you're really far forward here, pressing back is going to help activate that. That's where the wall can come in handy, because we can connect against the wall. And for some people, just coming into that position is their exercise, because if you're really tightening at the front of your shoulders, that might be your work. Never mind extending out as you're coming in here. So listen to your body, notice how it's responding to the exercises. Just do a quick time check. Good, good, good. So one more time, all the way up, all the way down. Check out what's happening with the breath. And then when the arms come down, let them come down, roll out the shoulders. Any other movement or stretch that your body needs here, make sure that you give yourself that movement or stretch. Going to do a wee plank or plank options. You can do a plank at the wall if coming down onto the floor doesn't feel right for you today. If you are at the wall, start maybe on the forearms, shoulders down, shoulder blades drawn back towards each other, then start to walk back. Or you could be on your hands. If you're going onto your hands, whether you're doing this standing or on the floor, we bring our arms up, press the palms out, draw the shoulder blades back and down to give us the right width. And then if you're standing here, you're walking back, thinking about chin being drawn in, ribs being drawn in, pelvis being in a neutral position. You might need to have your heels lifted if your calves are really tight. Hold in here. If you're doing this, looking down on the floor, start in the tabletop position, drop the arms in, bring the hands down. Think about the head and the neck being in line with the rest of the spine, so we're not looking at our knees. Ribs tucked in, backside muscles engaged. You step one leg out, pressing the heel back. That might be where we stop today, and then bring that knee down and then do the same thing on the other side. You might come up into full plank. Thinking about backside being engaged, press the heels back, long through the spine, long through the crown of the head. You only ever hold this for as long as feels right for you. 3 to 5 breaths is enough. And then gently bring it down. Release off in any way that feels nice. If you wish to do that again, you can do that again. If you do not wish to do that again and you want to go into child's pose for a rest, then you go into child's pose for a rest. If you are going up again, you're thinking about that connection through the body. Can you lift and draw in? Can we squeeze the muscles in tight? And then when you're ready to, gently bring yourself down. If child's pose is a nice place for you to have a breather, you can go there. If it's not, and some other stretch feels nicer, then you go there. So we are going to go into our stretches now. With our stretches, we change the breath. Instead of exhale and activate, we exhale, relax and let go. Bringing yourself over onto your back. Lying out long. Take the arms overhead. Reach the fingers to one side of the room. Try and walk the legs a little bit longer, reaching the toes to the other side of the room. As you're inhaling, look for that length. And then as you're exhaling, let go. Press through the soles of the feet, press through the palms. Inhale, look for your length. And then exhale, let go. Do that for another 2 breaths. And then when you're ready to bring the arms back over, bending the knees, walking the knees in towards the chest, hands on the shins, you're rocking the weight from one side of the pelvis to the other. With one hand on each knee, circle the knees around. So going for a couple of circles one direction, a couple of circles the other. And then bringing the feet to the floor, taking the arms out wide. Let the knees come to one side as you turn the head away from the knees. Coming into your twists. Noticing how this feels through the waist, through the lower back, through the hip. Where do you want your top leg? Do you want it a little bit further over? Do you want it pulled back? What is it that your body wants here? Then bringing the head and the knees through the centre. Up and over to the other side, taking it twist the other way. Breathing into the available space. And then bringing that back up through the centre, taking it over to the first side. The hand that's furthest away from the knees, how does that feel if you bend the elbow, bring that arm up and over, and then take that in a semicircle around the top of the head, and opening yourself back out wide. And if that feels good, do that another couple of times. And then when you come back out wide, bringing your heads and your knees up through the centre, take them over to the other side. And then if it feels okay, bending the elbows, you bring the arm up around the top of the head. And one more time if that feels good. And then from here, rolling over onto your sides. Coming up and over onto the hands and knees to go into some cat and cow. Now, if you don't want to do cat and cow on your hands and knees, you can do it from a seated position where we're rounding and moving forward. But think about the breastbone, whether you're doing this on your hands and knees or seated, breastbone pushing back, breastbone pushing forward, so that we're getting this space between the shoulders as well as the tailbone and the neck involved. And maybe use at the end point an inhale and breath to create more space inside the body. And then as you're moving through to the next point on the exhale, then on the inhale, creating that space. And if there's any other movement your body needs or wants as it's moving between these 2 points, any wiggles, any hip rolls, any shoulder rolls, any shifting of the weight forward and back or from side to side. And then when you're ready to bring the spine back into a neutral position. And then let's go into a side bend from here. So if you're on your hands and knees, walk your hands round so that you can look back towards your feet. And if you're seated, take a lean over to the sides. And then walk that round to the other side. And then bring that back to the centre. Walking the hands back to come up onto your knees, to come into your hips, legs are stretched. We'll step 1 foot forward. Find your place for this to balance. If being on your back knee like this is not comfortable, you might come up into a standing position and have a high lunge. But we want the tailbone tucked under, get this sense of opening through the front of the hip, ribs tucked in. If you wish, knee that's on the floor, hand on that side, and lift up towards the ceiling. And maybe take a side lean. Bringing that back, letting the arms float down, switching to the other side. So stepping the foot through, tuck the tailbone under, reaching the arm up, and leaning over to the side. Bringing it back, let the arm float down. Take the hands to either side of your front foot, step your back foot through. Bring your feet back to being hip width apart. We're going to go back to exhale and activation. Before we get there, can we let our body hang forward in this forward fold? Let the shoulders, the arms, and the neck relax. Taking an inhale in as you're exhaling, thinking about active through the arches, active through the legs. Draw the tummy muscles in as you roll yourself up. Reconnecting, reactivating, supporting all the way. As you get up to the top, take the arms up overhead or reaching right up. Inhaling at the top. Exhale, release, bring the arms down and round. Rolling out the shoulders. And then letting the shoulders settle back and down. And that is your done. Thank you so much. If you're watching this on the recording and you have any questions, please do make sure that you reach out.